The rise and fall of the U.S. Department of Education. Ever wondered who decides what your kids learn in school? The answer is more complex than you think, and it all starts with the Department of Education. Let's dive into the history, evolution, and potential future of this powerful agency. Before 1979, federal involvement in education was scattered across various agencies. This fragmented approach lacked a unified vision and often resulted in inefficiencies. President Jimmy Carter pledged to create a dedicated Department of Education to streamline federal education efforts. This promise was largely a political move to gain the support of the National Education Association, NEA. The Department of Education Organization Act was signed into law in 1979, officially establishing the department. Its primary mission was to coordinate federal assistance programs for education. The initial years focused on consolidating existing programs and establishing a clear organizational structure. The department aimed to improve educational opportunities for all Americans. Under President Reagan, there were attempts to abolish the department, arguing for a return to state and local control. These efforts were ultimately unsuccessful. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, the department's role expanded to include setting national education goals and promoting educational reform. This shift marked a move towards greater federal influence. The No Child Left Behind Act, NCLB, signed into law by President George W. Bush in 2002, dramatically reshaped the Department of Education's role. NCLB emphasized standardized testing and accountability for schools. The law aimed to close achievement gaps between different student groups and ensure that all students had access to a quality education. However, it also faced criticism for its focus on testing and potential for narrowing the curriculum. NCLB significantly increased the department's power and influence over state and local education agencies. Federal funding became increasingly tied to meeting specific performance targets. President Obama continued the focus on accountability while also emphasizing innovation and equity. His administration introduced initiatives like Race to the Top, which incentivized states to adopt specific education reforms. The Common Core State Standards, developed by state leaders, aim to establish consistent learning goals across states. The Department of Education played a role in promoting the adoption of these standards. These initiatives sparked debate about the appropriate role of the federal government in education. Critics argued that they represented an overreach of federal power. President Trump campaigned on a platform of reducing federal involvement in education and empowering states and local communities. He appointed Betsy DeVos as Secretary of Education, a controversial figure known for her support of school choice. The Trump administration sought to roll back some of the Obama-era education initiatives and promote policies that emphasize school choice, including charter schools and voucher programs. There were renewed calls to abolish or significantly restructure the Department of Education, arguing that it had become too bureaucratic and ineffective. These calls echoed similar arguments made during the Reagan administration. The argument for eliminating the Department of Education often centers on the idea of local control. Proponents believe that education is best managed at the state and local levels, closer to the students and communities being served. Critics argue that the department has become too large and bureaucratic, hindering innovation and flexibility in education. They also point to concerns about federal overreach and the potential for one-size-fits-all solutions. The debate over the department's future reflects a fundamental disagreement about the role of the federal government in education. Should the federal government play a leading role in setting national education goals and ensuring equity, or should it primarily support state and local efforts? Despite repeated calls for its elimination, the Department of Education remains a significant force in American education. It continues to administer federal education programs, conduct research, and provide guidance to states and local school districts. The future of the department will likely depend on the political climate and the priorities of future administrations. The debate over its role and effectiveness is likely to continue. The Department of Education story is a complex one, reflecting the evolving relationship between the federal government and education. Understanding its history and the arguments for and against its existence is crucial for shaping the future of education in America. The Department of Education's journey is far from over. Its future hinges on informed citizens like you. Dive deeper into the data. Research the impact of federal education policies in your state. Contact your elected officials and voice your opinion on the role of the Department of Education. Share this video with your colleagues and spark a conversation about the future of education in America. Let's work together to ensure a brighter future for all students. From History Recolored, thank you for watching.